How we doing today, folks? I'm out here in the yard. I have got 9 compressors. They're all good size. They all come out of condenser units, ACs. And I decided, since I got so many this time, I usually get 4 or 5 at a time when I buy these ACs. But this time I ended up getting 9, like I said. So I decided I was going to go buy me a tool. I bought me a mid-size grinder. Not the smallest one, but I guess I would say about a $50 grinder. Bought me a 10-pack of carbide blades, best to use on this stuff. Now, this is the very first time I've done this. I've seen it done 100 times, but and I've watched a few videos on it as well. But I do know that there's a couple of different types of these compressors, just out of experience of just knowing. Some of them are not built the same as others. Some of them, the compressor piece is on the bottom, some of them it's on the top. Just by design, they're not all the same, and so we will go through that together. As I cut these things apart, this grinder is very loud, so what I will do, my neighbor got his come and take it flag. I like it. But at any rate, I'm gonna try to cut these on the weld bead with the grinder. I've seen a couple of people on YouTube doing it that way. It may be the easiest route. These casings are very thick, but there's actually quite a bit of copper in each one of these. I'm guessing 3, 4, 5 pounds of copper in some of these. Makes it well worth it to cut them down. It is a lot of work, obviously, but we actually have to go through a couple of stages. Cut the casing apart to get the electric motor out of there with the windings. Pull that stuff apart and chop one end, and then the other end I'll use an impact tool at a buddy of mine's house to help pull the windings out, and I'll put all that on this video by the time we get to the end. Now, I've got me a tray here that I just a mesh, like a barbecue grill grate, basically, and put it over a pan, just because sometimes these things have a little bit of oil in them, and I'm trying not to make too big a mess in the yard. It's already muddy. I've got my grinder out here. Got my trusty wife out here to help me. She's going to hold the camera for me and do some other hard work around here, I'm sure. And I got my Sawzall, got my grinder, got my new blades, and got a box of bits that I'll probably need with the drill. There's a couple of nuts and bolts on the top of these things. You got to take that off this compressor. You've actually got to dismantle a few bolts in order to separate the motor from the housing. And we'll get into all that as it goes along.
Trying to land all over your phone and our drinks and everything else. I had to move everything this way.
My wife does not like the sparks flying, folks. I get it. I'm trying to figure out what... No, it's just smoking because it's hot.
You know, that red metal shit coming off there is red hot.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Hopefully, folks, y'all can see what I can see. This compressor down here. I've been chopping on it for a minute or two. Got my safety goggles on. Put the lock on this thing. And I got to come around here. Flip this thing one more time. And don't grab it up top where it's hot. I missed a spot I see here. And just like that, folks, I think I'm gonna put it up on something higher up so it didn't hurt my back so much to bend over. I'm gonna put it on a table or something on my next one. But I think it was a pretty good idea putting this mesh screen in my tray underneath it. Now these edges of this thing where I've been cutting are not only hot, but they're gonna be super sharp. So let me go grab a hammer.
I was told that the bigger ones, the older ones, are the better ones. They got the most copper and they're the easiest to get apart. And I heard the ones that come in refrigerators, those little bitty pancake ones, those little bitty small ones, those perfectly round ones, I heard those are easy to cut too. Now, I got something hanging loose, so I can show it. Let me see it right there. Oh, it is. Need a hammer. There we go, just that easy. Yeah, the top is off of it. I'm gonna touch the thing with my hand. 2 reasons. One, to freeze it. And see, that's it. Keep the can, it's ready to rock and roll. It's done. It'll go in the bucket of the iron. Now when I get done with this, all this metal, it is not copper windings, will end up going in the iron pile. There might be a little bit of aluminum in this, but it just depends on how far we go with the breakdown. I'm mostly just concerned about the copper. Yeah. I've seen these things get tapped out, and I've also seen these things just fall out. So we're about halfway there. I just told you the lines. And don't swing the hammer like I do, it's dangerous.
A little bit of politics, drinking a sweet tea. Out here back in the yard. I called it a day yesterday after I got these things cut out. Now, there is a couple different types of these things, like I said yesterday. The main type, these bigger, older style ones, pretty easy to get this main piece out. You just got to cut the thing literally in half, cut the top off of it, cut a couple wires, cut this tubing piece right here, knock this cap off the top of these things that's right here. They come right out pretty easy. And then you got to get a star tool and impact these things out of here. Now I may need a ratchet, I may need an impact tool, I do not know, but half of them were like that, and then the other half were like this longer canister type. And I cut the top of this one off to find out how it was, and reality of it is I didn't actually need to do that. What I need to do is cut this thing here and here. And when I do, I'll have this piece, because I've already done this to 2 other ones. And now when it gets to this part, I'll take it and I'll cut it one more time right here, which this wall is pretty thick, but I'll cut it one more time, another half a blade on my grinder, cut it loose, and it'll come out of this casing. It was sliding out, but I think it's stuck, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting it, make it come out pretty easy. Now this piece here, the armature, actually just slides right out. This thing is almost ready to come out of here to be chopped. Now here's one just like it. I've already got the casing out, and I've already cut this thing you see right here. And now this thing will tap right out, come right off really easy. Thing about this thing is everything you touch is sharp because it's had that grinder on it. But this one is almost ready as well. I'll do a little tapping on it and it'll slide right out. Got the 3 difficult ones cut out first. They seem to be some of the bigger ones. That's these 3 here. What I had to do is I had to cut them at the base, as you see right here. And then I had to cut them at the midsection, which is about, you see the piece I cut out between the 2 of these. I had to cut out literally a slot like this. You see what I'm saying? I had to cut this thing into 3 pieces. So I had to cut the top and cut the bottom, and the trick to this is knowing where to cut it. Literally cut it at where the electric motor is. I'm not actually cutting through two layers of metal versus cutting through this iron wall. You see where I scored it up? That's where it chews up my blade. The trick is to cut it where you're landing here in here. That way you're not cutting no more than you have to around these thick walls. But the trick is to cut them two out. And this stuff's very sharp, you gotta be careful. And then I had to cut it at an angle, this little short piece here, and slide this particular motor out. That's the way these three tall, skinny ones were. Now the rest of them are these older style. They're a little shorter and squattier, actually a little heavier. They come out a lot easier. I just cut them in half, pulled the top half off of them, pieces like this, pulled them out, had to cut a wire and a piece of tubing in order for it to slide out of the tube. Y'all hear the wind, folks. And now I had to go buy me a star bit for this top. But once I get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 done, be quick and easy, folks. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Let me show you real quick. Let me get me some non-greasy fingers. My poor GoPro camera got grease all over it. Mostly Freon these days. But let me show you. That's what I'm talking about. After you get to this point, by pulling those compressors apart, you just literally got the star bits you got to go buy. Crank them out. 1, 2, 3. And I've already done it to this one and pulled the top plate off. Plate's what literally holds the electric motor down. I'm gonna go through these 5 or 6 real quick, and I'm gonna show you just how easy it is to get to the next phase of this, which is chopping these motors, chopping them and air impacting them out. Now I will clean this stuff up a little bit before I sell it for number 2 copper. A little more plastic in there than the scrapyard light. Now I'm not gonna lie to you folks, this is not easy work, even with good tools. I should have put this on a table, wouldn't have had so much bending over time. Back breaking work to be bent over all day. Usually put stuff like this on a table, but because of the Freon, I didn't. And let me show you what happens when you take these plates off the top. Supposing that it got all the screws out. Okay, there's one. I may need a little more cranking. There's 2. 3, kind of long-winded. Some reason or another, those last couple threads didn't slide out. But now here's one more little part I didn't tell you about. There is a little bitty piece of zip tie holding this thing together. I'll throw this over in the tin pile, the iron pile. And the next step is to literally slide this thing off. See that, folks? Quick and easy. Now this one's ready too. Now, literally turn these things upside down and pick them up. They fall off. Now we got two more of them motors. And like I said, this is quick and easy, folks, at this point. See if I can slide this one straight off. Yes, sir. Alright, a couple more to go, and I'll be down to the chopping the copper and the impacting. Now I wonder if these are a little different. They look like they're built a little different. We're fixing to find out. I try to keep my screws together, but sometimes they fall in the yard or bounce or whatever. I got a magnet that I found junking. The magnet on wheels. My wife will come out here and roll it around the yard. And got one out, totally clean, as you see here. One out with the pneumatic tool. I'm at my buddy Steve's house. He happens to have air tools, so I figured I'd come over here and borrow some of his tools and a little bit of his help. Now we're gonna try it with this forked end. It worked pretty good on the last one. Hey, that big cameraman, point that at me. Well, I get this one done. The pipe in there kind of helps hold it still. Ideal way to do this on a bench, but it's going pretty quick. What's that? It means it's working. Red. Didn't know how long this is going to take. That was pretty quick, it looks like. That's the money shot right there. They're supposed to come out. Take just a little bit of plastic loose. This is what it turned into. We're talking about 9 compressors. I don't know the exact weight yet, but we will know it here directly here in about an hour. Didn't take about 30 minutes to do them. Really not that long with that impact tool. Not bad at all. So I've got about 4 hours invested in this adventure. We're trying to find out if it's worth it. As it turns out, folks, it ended up being a total of 42 pounds of copper, 600 pounds of iron after I cut those compressors open and cut them apart. The price of the compressors and the short iron price is the same, so whether I cut the copper out or not, I still would have made approximately the same, I mean within a couple of dollars the same money if I wouldn't have cut them apart, with the exception of the 42 pounds of copper that I pulled out of them by chopping and extracting those windings with that impact air tool at my buddy's house. Took me about 4 hours to do the whole thing, maybe 4.5, because it was my first time. I'm sure next time it'll be much faster. Got the system down, and I will wait till I get at least 5 or more before I do it again. But I'll be doing the ones out of refrigerators as well for future reference, and I'll make another video eventually about this very thing on just more things I learn about this as I go along through this process. It was 42 pounds of copper, 600 pounds of iron. The copper was a little more than $3 a pound. It ended up being $140 in copper weight, so at number 2 copper, and so I made exactly $200 on it. If I would have just sold it for compressor weight or short iron, I would have made $62. If I would have left the compressors inside the air conditioners or the different type units that they came out of, I would have made less money than that. So sorting and separating, cleaning, it's definitely worth it. It was a very tedious job. A couple power tools, of course, only way to get that done, or one of the only ways to get it done. But at any rate, maybe I'll learn a new way as time goes on. We'll see. I like learning new things with the scrapping. Hopefully y'all do too. It's one of the reasons I built this channel. But I just wanted to say, I hope everybody likes, subscribes, and share, and realizes if you got the time, the effort, and the tools to break down this scrap 100%, you always make more money. Is it worth it by the hour? Absolutely. An extra $140 for half a day's work. Not too shabby. Like, subscribe, and share. DIY Scrappers, over and out.